All right. Great to be back again. Just finished practice number 9. So the progress that we're making today. Got into a little bit more situational work, some 2-minute offense stuff, coming off a scrimmage that we had last Saturday, and then we'll practice Thursday and then right into another scrimmage on Saturday as well. So before I get going on too much football stuff, sorry. I left you. Before we get going on too much football stuff, obviously, huge congratulations to Coach Staley and her team. What a awesome event to be a part of at the Final Four. Love getting to go up there. Emily and my wife and I did. So great to be able to see so many Gamecocks up there and watch them finish off what they've done this season. What a remarkable year to replace what they had to replace and go undefeated. Get every team's best shot every single game and just finish like they did. So happy for them. It's a great group of young ladies on that team that I've enjoyed getting to know. And as I've said before, fortunate to have Dawn as a colleague here at Carolina. And congratulations, too, with our women's golf team with Hannah Darling and Louise Ridquist last weekend as well. What a great statement they made about our women's golf program, that both of them made the cut for the Augusta National Women's Amateur last weekend, and both finished in the top 30, I believe. I know they were right there at the top of the leaderboard going into the final round, but really cool for them. Happy for Kaylin, our coach, and I like to think that all the time that I've spent next to Hannah and Louise hitting golf balls down at our practice facility has rubbed off on them. My swing helped them perform like they did last weekend as well. But they're great young ladies as well. I've really enjoyed getting to know them and happy for them, obviously. And then best of luck to Coach Kingston and the baseball team. I know they'll be up in Charlotte tonight, right? And my parents are here at the press conference, and they're headed to Charlotte tonight. We'll be there for the baseball game also, cheering on the Gamecocks against the Tar Heels up in Charlotte. So I know that I spoke at an event in Gastonia last night and referred to us as Carolina multiple times in the crowd, and they're in North Carolina correcting me. But it'll be a great battle of the Carolinas tonight up in Charlotte also. So best of luck to Coach and his team. Questions?
Shane, I know we're still 11 days out, but do you know of anybody who won't play in the spring game due to besides the guys we already know about, nagging injuries, don't want to force anything? I guess in a roundabout way, of the 2 deep, how many do you estimate probably not going to play?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't want to say a handful, but it'll be a handful. We've got some things right now, David, some guys that didn't practice today just with some injuries. JT Gear didn't practice today. Nikki Manwari didn't practice today. DeBron Gatling didn't practice today. Brady Hunt didn't practice today. Tonka practiced but was limited. So we've got some things like that some guys are battling through. We meet as a staff at 4 o'clock. I'll have a better idea then. Again, none of those are significant and long-term at all. JT's may be a little bit longer term than those other ones, but it's nothing serious. He may be back at practice on Thursday. He was seeing a doctor today about an injury that happened on Saturday, but it won't be anything super long term. So to answer your question, I'll have a better idea this afternoon, but hopefully we'll have as full a group as possible. And then there's nobody that we're saying is healthy, but we're going to not play in the spring game. Everybody will play, and we want to make it competitive and have a great atmosphere out there next Saturday night.
Shannon, I know you're probably tired of being asked this, but fan base obviously be very interested this past Saturday. Was there any type of separation in that quarterback room, and what were some of the pros you were able to take away from all the guys?
Yeah, I don't know if there was a separation. I know I told Phil asked that last week, and I said that there may be, and there maybe was in some ways. It was kind of tough. I thought all the quarterbacks did a great job of protecting the football. There were no turnovers at all in the scrimmage, which is rare in any scrimmage. There was a ball that Judge Collier made a great play and knocked the ball out on a fumble that Mazio Bennett was hustling and fell on the ball and got the ball back for the offense. But the offense didn't turn the ball over, which was great. Now, as a head coach, you don't like it because the defense didn't create takeaways. But I thought all those guys did some really good things. Lenoris, when he was in there, made a couple nice throws as well downfield. I thought Robbie Ashford did a good job of just pocket presence and stepping up in the pocket and making throws. Dante Reno got in there and had really did some good stuff in practice on Thursday after I saw you guys last week, and did some stuff in the scrimmage. Davis Bevel as well. And then Luke worked some at quarterback. So to answer your question, not a lot of separation where I can come in here right now and say this guy's 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3, and away we go. We're still competing, and those guys continue to make each other better. And this today was a big day, and Thursday will be a big day, and then Saturday will be our last scrimmage before the spring game, and that'll be a big day also. But I like the progress that they're all making, and I, if you ask, okay, who made a jump? I thought Robbie Ashford made some nice throws and did some good stuff, but again, they're all just kind of continuing to learn everything from a mental standpoint, and trying to get the game to slow down for them out there.
Nice to see you again, Shane. You
Nice
mentioned
to see you, Alan.
Yeah, you mentioned last week that you weren't sure if the quarterbacks were going to be live in the scrimmage. Did that end up happening? And if it was, what was your assessment of the offensive line performances if the quarterbacks were live to get hit?
The quarterbacks were live. We didn't do the entire scrimmage live. I think we ended up getting, we did a little bit of extra 7-on-7 work. I think true like scrimmage work, we got around 60 plays, and then some other stuff that was more like 7-on-7 where it was scrimmage, but we weren't tackling. It was more working on the passing game and stuff. So as far of the about a third of the scrimmage, the quarterbacks were live, and that was all of them. Kind of what you thought when they got hit, which they needed to. I don't like them to, but they needed to, just to understand they can't sit back in the pocket all day and not get hit at this level. They got to understand when they have to get rid of the ball and when they're protected or not. So you don't like them getting hit. So that goes back to, the guys around them from a protection standpoint, which they got hit a couple times, so the protection wasn't good enough. And sometimes y'all have heard me say that's the back, sometimes that's the tight end, sometimes that's the receivers not doing what they're supposed to do. So being able to get that corrected. But then there were a couple situations where guys scrambled out of there, and you saw what they could do with their feet. Lenoris had a run where he scrambled and stepped up in the pocket and ran for an explosive run. Robbie had one where he got out on the perimeter and kind of showed what he can do. So I think we've got some athletic quarterbacks, and they can make plays with their feet, and that's why we went back and forth on whether or not to make them live, and that's why we did. Thought it would be good for the defense to know that being able to finish on the guys and tackle, and then for the quarterbacks to understand the plays they can make with their feet and when to get rid of the ball as well. But it was good for both sides, and both sides liked it without a doubt.
Hey, Shane, I wanted to ask about the receiving room. What have you seen out of them after that first scrimmage, particularly with these tight ends that you guys have been working with, since they're a little bit more experienced than some of the rest of the receiver room in terms of how you guys run your playbook? Yeah,
I think both those groups, tight ends and receivers, are doing a good job of kind of complementing each other. And there may be a day where it's a little bit more 2 tight end personnel groupings. It might be a day where it might be a little bit more 1 tight end, 3 receiver personnel groupings, and being able to get all those guys in different positions to see what they can do. And Josh Simon has been solid. Nick Elksness is solid. Brady Hunt, Connor Cox, Reed McKeska has been banged up. He got back out and did a little bit in the scrimmage on Saturday, which was good to see him back out there. We need him, Reed, to really come along here these next 2 weeks and take a step. And then from a receiver standpoint, Jared Brown, those trains, Juju, get used to that here in Columbia as well, that you hear that blowing also. They didn't tell you about that when you came. Jared Brown had a really nice catch and run the other day in that scrimmage. If you want to talk about people that stepped up and had great Saturdays, Mazio Bennett at receiver had a great Saturday. Like, you noticed him, and the moment wasn't too big for him. And I think all those receivers, we've talked about it. We don't have necessarily a 6'3", 6'4" guy out there running around right now, but what we do have are guys that run good routes. They're quick, and we got to continue to find ways to get them the ball because they're good with the ball in their hands. And they're making progress, and like everybody, this week will be a big week for them.
Shane, in Sean's role as run game coordinator, does he work with the offensive line at all? I mean, how does he and Dowell's relationship work? Just kind of how does that come in with that dynamic?
Yeah, he, I'd say, works very little with the offensive line. He is the run game coordinator, so there's a lot that, Dowell kids with him that, that Sean will be drawing up run schemes in the dirt, and all of a sudden they'll show up in practice and we'll be doing something in the run game that Dow didn't know we were doing, that Sean just kind of drew up and put in on his own. But he does a great job of continuing to build on the things that we've done in the run game, but then bring in some things that he did at Georgia State and that he liked, certainly, but marrying it with our personnel and what our guys can do. So that's where that run game coordinator comes in. He works obviously closely with everybody on the offense, but don't get me wrong, like we all help one another out there, and Lonnie may see something that affects the run game with the tight ends, and he may say something to the tight end. And Sean's coaching tight ends, and may see something that helps with the offensive line and the tight ends working together. So everybody, we're all on the same team right there. But Sean spends the bulk of his time with the tight ends and coaches them in practice, and certainly is there to it's been a great relationship. He and Lonnie and he and Dow working with one another and bouncing ideas off of each other. And certainly I know that O-line is his passion, but he's been very passionate about coaching those tight ends also.
You mentioned Judge a little while ago. What's the progress? How have you seen him progress from year 1 to year 2 so far? And from that other corner spot opposite of Fortune, what'd you see from them in the scrimmage?
Yeah, Judge I think's done really well. And I was at the Hall of Fame thing I had to speak at last night in Gastonia. I sat with Coach Straight-Heron, who had coached him in high school up in Rock Hill, and we were talking about that. Just he's doing a great job out there. Last year, you think about it, he came in as a true freshman and started a couple games last season, and was bright-eyed and big environment for him. I think the game slowed down for him in a lot of ways. He's really attacked the weight room. He's got great length, as we've talked about before. Like, it's those arms obviously are God-given and a freakish thing that he has because he has so much length. And now he's continued to put on weight and get stronger, which is only going to help him hold up physically. So I thought he's had a really good spring and been very solid, made some nice plays out there the other day. And then he's competing, he and Emery Floyd and Vakari Swain, and then David Spalding. That's another one that didn't practice today, David, I'm sorry, was David Spalding. He's a little banged up. But those guys are all over there battling, and I think they all have their moments. And you see them all, they all kind of flash. And Vakari's got big playability, and Emery obviously has great speed. I'm proud of Emery and his maturity and kind of the steps he's taken off the field this spring. And obviously David Spalding is a veteran that's played a lot of football around here and very smart and a pro. So I like that group. And then, they're all continuing to push O'Donnell. O'Donnell obviously is the starter on the other side right now, but he knows that he needs to continue to play at a high level to keep that job too.
Shane, Lunny was talking about it, that when you look at a guy like Tree or Trevon Bob, obviously they were thrown into a situation last year that stepped up for you guys, but at the same time, too, they didn't have the opportunity of going through a spring this time last year. How beneficial is it, not just for offensive linemen, but especially for young players, even if they were freshmen this past season, to have that opportunity where things are a little bit slowed down, because obviously you don't have that luxury when you're in August or certainly in the season? Yeah,
it's huge. You think about it, we started – I think it was 5 true freshmen last season. Nicholas Harbor, not here for spring practice. Tro, not here for spring practice. Tree was not here for spring practice. I think Judge was. But that's pretty much every freshman you started as a true freshman in this league. They didn't get to go through spring practice. They just started practice in August, and then a month later they're playing in SEC football games in Athens. So it's huge to be able to go through spring ball. We were talking about it yesterday I was with the offensive staff. I mean, you look out there and you got Josiah Thompson and Cam Pringle and Blake Franks, who should still be in high school taking classes at Woodland High School and Dillon High School and Greenville High School. And instead they're here going through spring practice, but not just going through spring practice. They're going through spring practice having to block Tonka Hemingway and TJ Sanders and Boogie Huntley and DeAndre Jules, guys that are 5 years older than them and have played college football at a high level for a while now. And obviously the moment's not too big for them, but they're going through some growing pains, and they're going to be so much better for it come August because they're going through that right now and not going through it for the first time in August. So they're making progress, and really proud of those guys. We've talked about it in here. It's just so beneficial that of all the scholarship guys that we signed, everyone's here right now except for Matthew Fuller, Jalua Solomon and Michael Smith, 3 guys, and that's it. Every other freshman's going through spring ball, which is huge for us, being able to practice the way we want to from an organizational standpoint, but then those guys getting that experience in order to be ready to go this season.
Kind of going off David's question, but with all the injuries at running back right now, how much running work were you able to get into the scrimmage, and did any other position slide into running back like you've done in the past?
No. No other position right now, maybe in time for sure. I just mentioned wanting to get those receivers involved and getting the ball in their hands. So, like we've done in the past, we'll be creative with how we do that going forward. But no, not really. Braswell was back on Saturday, so DJ was able to scrimmage, which was great for him. Oscar was out there as well. Obviously, Juju didn't, and Rocket didn't, but Jawarm was out there, so we were able to get those guys work and didn't say, okay, we're not going to do this because we're banged up at the running back position. We, called runs like we always do, called passes like we always do, and all those guys, certainly flashed at times.
There was some reporting after the scrimmage that the offensive line really struggled. Just wanted to get your take on the overall play, and also report today that Jackson Hughes is departing. Just want to see if you can confirm.
Yeah. Reporting from the scrimmage. I didn't know the scrimmage was open, so I don't know who would be reporting from the scrimmage. I think there's a lot of times, I think we all had our moments, and it's spring scrimmage number one. And defenses everywhere that I've ever coached should be a little bit ahead of offenses, particularly in the springtime. If you don't, I think it probably doesn't bode well for your defense. I was part of a lot of scrimmages with my dad at Virginia Tech where I walked off the practice field wondering if the offense was going to be able to score a touchdown the entire season, much less, win a football game, because the defense was really, really good. And our defense was really, really good the other day. And was the offensive line what we wanted? No, but I'd say as an offense overall, it wasn't what we wanted, and we could certainly be better. But also the offense sat in there next door yesterday in their offensive meeting and went through every play from the scrimmage. And, it's as always on offense, defensively you can have 11 guys flying to the ball and 2 guys do something wrong and it's okay. The other 9 make up for it and it's a okay play. Offensively, you can have 10 guys doing everything right and 1 guy takes the wrong step or runs a route at the wrong depth and a bad play, So everybody on offense, defense, special teams, we can all be better. It wasn't what we wanted, but I didn't walk out of there saying, oh, my God, we got problems up front by any stretch of the imagination. They're going against a pretty good defensive front right now, I think, too, as well. And, yes, Jackson decided to transfer. He called me on Sunday, actually, when I was in Cleveland. He called me, and we talked when I was at the game right before tip-off. He was a walk-on here. He came from Charlotte, and obviously he's battled injuries since he's been here, was still paying his own way. He wasn't on a scholarship. He's not healthy right now, and I think he wanted to just go somewhere and have a chance to get a scholarship going into his last year and not have to worry about paying his own way and get healthy. So that's what he's going to look to do, and he was fantastic for us. I mean, that's a situation where guy came in from Charlotte, got here in the summertime, and he's out. I think he started against UNC, if I'm not mistaken, and he got here in June or July and whatnot. So he's played some good football for us last year, hoping he can get healthy and hopefully he'll be able to find a home where somebody will give him a scholarship because he's a talented offensive tackle and athletic and a great kid, and wish him well.
Shane, at this point, do you know of anybody else who's expressed an interest to transfer? And do you expect any, just numbers-wise, for anybody to leave after the spring game?
I don't. Hope not. We'll sit down and obviously talk with guys at the end of the spring like we always do and just be honest with them and talk about where they stand and what their role is and whatnot. But I would hope not. Portal opens, the 16th, I think, so next week. Portal opens, so certainly worry about that. But, again, we work really hard to make this place a place that people want to be a part of and accomplish everything they want on and off the field. And got a lot of good guys right now that believe in what we're doing and going in the same direction. But we'll have those meetings starting Monday morning at 7 a.m. after the spring game. And if somebody feels like they have an opportunity to go somewhere else and play more, maybe don't like their role here, we'll have those conversations with them and always be honest with them and see what happens.
Shane, you mentioned that second spring transfer portal window opening up. What's that process like as a coaching staff? Because obviously this is still new for everybody. And at this point now, that 15-day window, how do you kind of juggle that, scholarships, all that, and looking, okay, is there someone out there that may be able to help us?
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I mean, we still have spring practice going on. Our guys are finishing up exams right after the spring game. You've got your own roster to worry about. You're having individual meetings as well, and and want everybody that's on our roster to come back and continue the work that they've put in since January. But you look at what's out there, and if there's a situation the guy fits what we want, what we're about, and can make our team better, that's my job as the head coach to bring in people that can help us after spring practice, like we did last season with JT Gear. Came in after spring practice and did some really good things for us last year, and will continue to. But it's tough as a coach because you truly don't know. You're going through spring ball right now, but you truly don't know who your team is going to be until the middle of May. And I say that like the portal closes on April 30th, but if there's somebody in the portal that we decide to bring in, then you're going to bring them in on a visit in May. And then finally, okay, you get to the first, second week of May, all right, this is the 2024 Gamecock football team. And that's a challenge as well. It's kind of a lot like a NFL team that's going through off-season program, OTAs, mini camps. They don't really know who's going to be on the New England Patriots until training camp's over type thing. And we're fortunate we don't have to wait right before the first game to know that. We wait till the middle of May, but that's a challenge as a coach, but part of it. And you're right, we're all learning and going through it the first time and trying to figure out the best way to maximize the situation for your particular team. Okay. Good to see you guys that have been gone. Welcome back. Have a great week.